Good morning, everybody. This is Joy here. Today I am talking about getting out of the matrix and what I have learned. This is something that I was coming across again recently and stuff, but this is not the first time I've come across it. One of the things that I learned while getting out of the matrix was release and let go. It was basically where I was having issues that were showing up in my life, and I didn't really want to let go of them as if I was being stubborn about it. But it was because I had such an ego. Ego is definitely one of the major flaws and stuff that we can actually have that will hold us back from being in our true potential. When you're in a matrix and stuff, the idea is that with the ego matrix specifically, is that we have this need within us to defend what is or what we feel that we're supposed to be right about. And we feel this need to defend it. And usually, what this dials down to is our stories, our past history, and our need for being able to be on top of the world and being able to have people say to us that we need to be able to do what they say. And there are times that they are absolutely right, but then there are times that they aren't. And what we need to realize is that in those moments, you're the one who discerns for yourself. So when you check in with yourself, this is one of the ways that you can actually be able to discern whether or not you're ready to be able to move forward with what they suggested and if it serves you or not. So usually you check in with yourself. You close your eyes and you just get grounded and get centered and be with you for a moment. And imagine like a bright white healing light going down through your head, down into the ground, and coming back up, and then bringing up this rejuvenating kind of energy that's just kind of flowing up through you all the way back up to your head. And when you're dealing with these challenges and stuff, you need to stop for a moment and just be able to ask yourself, does this serve me to be frustrated with this? Or do I need to let it go? Is it time to let it go for me? So that it's no longer something that we're holding on to. So it's something that we're not having that issue of having ego show up for us. When we have others that we care about and we love, and we don't want to just keep on seeing friends and people go away. Well, let me tell you, I probably had one about the biggest egos that was out there. And there's still times it likes to show its ugly head. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad and wrong thing necessarily. It's there to teach us. It's there to teach us release and let go. So if we actually take a moment to acknowledge that and just go, there are things in life that I want that I'm not getting. And I need to figure out why. And this is one of the reasons. It's because we're stuck in this matrix of ego. So whenever we're stuck in the matrix of ego and we're needing to defend ourselves for something, I still wanted to defend myself recently even. And I didn't go and exactly post it online or whatever and stuff afterwards, but I someone tried to give me some advice, but not exactly in the way that I was willing to be open and receive it. And usually because I've had so much criticism in the world push me down and tell me that I'm not good enough, tell me that I shouldn't even be living. That when it came time that I was willing to do whatever it took until I wasn't. When I first stood up for myself, because I'd learned how to do that, that was a new step for me a while back. And I had actually finally stood up for myself with something that I thought that I was supposed to be standing up for myself with. And I did an all right job with it, actually. But the challenge that came up was is that I didn't know exactly how to approach the situation better. And later, I ended up going back to the group that I'm working with right now and helping growing my business. And they're familiar with self growth. So they actually were able to stop and make a video shortly after the circumstances that came out of this happened. And we can't always change what happened in the circumstance, but what we can do is change the way we feel about it. So when we're doing everything we can to let go of that ego and just release and let go, there's moments that we need to stop for a moment and say, you know what? Let me at least take a look at what you said and see if it serves me. But in the meantime, could you possibly give me some better advice in a more loving way? Because right now I don't know how to be able to be open to what you're saying with the way you're saying it. And sometimes that's what it is. We don't know the words that need to come out of our mouth to say to the other person when someone is trying to give us some guidance and direction and they're not exactly doing it in an unconditional kind of way, it sounds like. But what's really going on is that they may be coming from an unconditional space. We don't even know if they aren't. Sometimes they are in total unconditional space. At least more than where we're at. And what I realized in this was one other thing. When I was learning to release and let go and stuff, sometimes what we need to do is to let the emotions flow and let the words flow, but do it in a way that's going to serve you and others. So get a notebook, get a stick if you need to, and go let it out on the bed and stuff, and then do some prayer work afterwards if you feel like that's what serves you and stuff, and actually clear the energy so that way you don't go to sleep with that, or your child doesn't go to sleep with that on the bed or something. And allow yourself to, once you let go of all the buildup, all the tension, and you do it in a way that serves you and others, you do it for everybody's higher good. So in the sense, by going and letting out the frustration on a bed with a stick, or going and getting a piece of paper and writing it down what the conversation is that's going on inside your head of why you feel like you need to be right and why you feel like you're so frustrated. And then once you've done that, take that and if you have the ability to burn it, that's usually the best one that I've found at times. But you can also take that paper and you can cut it up or tear it up or whatever you want to do. And sometimes what I do is I use it to turn around a bunch of things in my head. So I go back and I look at all the things that I was saying and go, oh my gosh, I was being still pretty negative about this. Okay, so what can I do to turn it around to something more positive so that this doesn't keep on repeating itself? And you can start writing down, I choose to let this go. I decide to let this go. I give myself permission to let this go. Because does it really serve you? Does it really serve me to be able to hold on to something like that? No. I can't move forward and do what I want to do in life if I do hold on to it. So letting go of ego, letting go of the ego matrix, letting go of the ego, that this need to defend what we feel is right in that moment and stuff sometimes. It's not that we aren't right, because in that moment we are absolutely 100% right until we're not. So I invite you to allow yourself to let go of ego, let go of the need to defend the story that has stopped you. Namaste.